Across a Southeast Asia that is vibrant, diverse, and sometimes hard to blend together, there is one nation whose people leave a lasting impression on almost everyone they meet. It's not because they are wealthier, more famous, or more powerful. So what is it that makes Filipinos known as the most effortlessly likable friends in the region? Why is it that in Vietnam, Thailand, or even Singapore, many people say, there's just something about Filipinos that makes me feel at ease? In today's video, we'll explore 10 reasons that are rarely talked about, yet almost everyone agrees with once they hear them. And if you've ever had a memorable moment with a Filipino, feel free to share it in the comments. Your story might be exactly what someone out there needs to hear today. Number 10, the Filipino smile. There's something many people from Thailand or Malaysia tend to say in almost the same way. They can recognize Filipinos even before hearing them speak. What makes a complete stranger so easy to spot? It often starts with a small, gentle smile, one that carries an unexpectedly comforting warmth. You'll see that smile at Changi Airport in the early morning, inside a convenience store in Kuala Lumpur, or at a tiny check-in counter in a Bangkok hotel. A Thai traveler once shared that before she could even ask for directions, she was greeted with a smile that instantly eased her stress. It's not the kind of smile that tries too hard to be friendly. It feels more like the way Filipinos open a conversation with the world. Soft, sincere, and naturally welcoming. What's interesting is that many locals say they don't always remember the names of their Filipino coworkers, but they remember their smiles perfectly. A hotel staff member in Malaysia even said that whenever his Filipino colleague walked in to start a shift, the whole room felt a little brighter. Regional surveys about optimism often rank Filipinos among the highest. Maybe that deep sense of optimism is what makes the Filipino smile so special. Not a polite or obligatory smile, but one strengthened by resilience, yet still choosing to offer warmth first. And so, even though it may seem like a small detail, the Filipino smile becomes the very first thing that makes Southeast Asians feel instantly fond of them. And now let's move on to number 9, an understated reason, yet one that quietly shapes how the entire region sees the Filipino spirit. Number 9, their remarkable English skills. Across many Southeast Asian countries, there's an interesting pattern. Whenever a group conversation involves people from different cultures, everyone tends to look toward the Filipino first, as if by instinct. Not because they expect the Filipino to handle something complicated, but because they know that person will make everything clearer and easier. Their English isn't just good, it carries a tone that feels trustworthy and easy to understand. A teacher in Vietnam once shared that in his international class, he had a Filipino colleague. He noticed the way she talked to her students. Not too fast, not too slow, almost as if she adjusted her voice so everyone felt safe making mistakes. Students who were usually shy about speaking began raising their hands more often. It's not because her lessons are difficult, he said. It's because she makes them believe they can speak. In Malaysia, a hotel manager shared a similar story. During tense moments with guests, the Filipino staff members were often the first to step in. They didn't try to explain things in long, complicated sentences. Instead, they used short, warm lines that made the other person feel respected. What surprised him most was that even the most demanding guests calmed down faster when hearing a Filipino speak. For many years, the Philippines has consistently ranked among the top countries in the region for English proficiency. But it's the sensitivity in how Filipinos use the language that truly stands out. They turn English into a bridge, not a barrier. And that's why their English ability is more than just a skill. It's a way Filipinos help the whole region feel more connected. Coming up next is number 8, where the joyful, energetic side of the Filipino spirit reveals itself most clearly. Number 8, their positive energy and natural humor. There's something many managers around Southeast Asia like to point out. In international teams, the atmosphere always feels a little lighter when there's at least one Filipino in the group. No one can pinpoint the exact moment it happens, but everyone senses the shift. It's like a small light turning on in the middle of a long, stressful day. An office worker in Ho Chi Minh City shared that during a rush project, tension filled the entire room. But whenever their Filipino colleague dropped a gentle, playful remark, the whole team seemed to exhale at the same time. It wasn't a big joke or an intentional punchline. It was simply the way she told stories, so innocent and sincere that made life feel softer for a moment. What makes this kind of humor special is how effortless it is. A hotel manager in Malaysia once said that Filipinos have a gift for reading the room. When everyone is exhausted, they know how to spark a bit of light at the right time. When someone is anxious, they offer a small joke, just enough to remind them that things will be okay and that solutions will come. This sensitivity keeps their humor from feeling forced. Instead, it becomes a quiet form of emotional care. And maybe that's why so many Southeast Asians say they enjoy working with Filipinos, not only because of their skills, but because of the sense of emotional safety they bring. Their gentle cheerfulness doesn't just make work easier, it makes people feel supported during the tougher moments. Coming up next is number 7, where a deeper cultural value of the Philippines becomes something the whole region truly admires. Number 7, the spirit of Bayanihan. In many countries across the region, when something difficult happens, people often say, let's stay calm. But with Filipinos, calmness is only the first step. What surprises many Southeast Asians is how quickly they stand up, join together, and start finding solutions, even when they're far away from home. An office worker in Jakarta shared that his first days in Indonesia were some of the loneliest he'd ever experienced. Yet just a few hours into his new job, he unexpectedly received help from a small Filipino group. They didn't ask too many questions or try to be overly formal. They simply guided him, shared practical tips about getting around, and invited him to a small dinner so he wouldn't feel lost. I didn't know them, he said, but they acted as if we'd been friends long before. In Kuala Lumpur, a project manager recalled a moment when his team faced a sudden issue that left everyone unsure of what to do. As tension started to rise, the Filipino members were the first to step in, breaking the problem into smaller pieces, encouraging each person, and reminding the whole team that everything was still manageable. What moved him most was not their efficiency, but the feeling of having someone to lean on at exactly the right time. The spirit of Bayanihan isn't loud, and it doesn't wait for gratitude. It feels more like a habit deeply rooted in how Filipinos view the world. When someone is struggling, the most natural thing to do is to come closer. And perhaps that's why so many Southeast Asians feel a quiet warmth when working alongside Filipinos. Coming up next is number 6, a quality that makes them natural bridges in any multicultural environment. Number 6, their gift for communication. There's something people across the region often wonder about. Why is it that in complicated conversations, Filipinos are usually the ones who make everything easier to understand? It's not because they talk more, nor because they try to dominate the room. It's simply the way they communicate, calm, clear, and reassuring from the very first lines. A service manager in Singapore shared that he had seen countless situations where customers became frustrated because of language gaps. But what always stood out to him was how quickly the atmosphere shifted when his Filipino colleague joined the conversation. They would ask simple yet precise questions, keep their tone gentle enough to reduce pressure, and most importantly, listen with genuine attention. You feel like the conversation is moving at exactly the pace you need, he said. In Bangkok, an employee recalled a tense moment when two departments misunderstood each other, turning an entire meeting into a stressful back and forth. As people started losing patience, their Filipino coworker softly said, maybe we're looking at the same thing, just from two different sides. The room fell silent for a moment before everyone let out a small laugh, realizing how true that was. The meeting instantly softened, and the team found common ground much faster than expected. What makes Filipino communication truly special isn't just language. It's their keen observation, their sincerity, and their desire to make others feel respected. They don't communicate to impress. They communicate to connect. And that's what makes them an irreplaceable bridge in so many multicultural settings across Southeast Asia. Coming up next is number 5, where their natural warmth becomes a trait the entire region grows attached to. Number 5, easy to befriend and effortless to blend in. At a small gathering in Singapore, the atmosphere at first felt a little stiff. People stood in small clusters, offering polite smiles but not much more. Then a Filipino guest walked in, started a gentle conversation, and within minutes the entire room seemed to brighten. Strangers began laughing, asking questions, and the distance between them melted away before anyone even noticed. An office worker in Ho Chi Minh City recalled his first day at a new company. He had no idea how to start a conversation with anyone until his Filipino colleague pulled up a chair and asked the simplest questions. "How's your first day going? Was it easy to find the place?" They weren't big or deep questions, but they made him feel safe, like he had already belonged there long before he arrived. In Indonesia, a project manager shared how his team struggled at first because of cultural differences. What surprised him was how naturally the Filipino members became the bridge that tied everyone together. They were quick to smile, quick to include others, and always attentive to anyone who fell quiet. Once, when a new teammate felt completely out of place, a Filipino colleague sat beside her and listened to her story for more than an hour. "That moment," he said, "made me realize that inclusion isn't magic. It comes from simple kindness, deeply genuine kindness." What makes Filipinos easy to befriend isn't just social skill. It's the way they see people before they see roles or nationalities. They choose to open their hearts first, and that makes others want to open theirs too. And that openness leads us to number 4, where Filipino dedication and professionalism becomes something the entire region appreciates. Number 4, their dedication and professionalism. That morning at a large hotel in Kuala Lumpur began with a problem no one wanted. The booking system crashed, an international tour group arrived much earlier than expected, and the front desk slipped into chaos. A few guests grew impatient, voices started rising, and everyone feared the situation might get out of hand. Tension hung in the air. In the middle of it all, a Filipino staff member stepped forward to help. She didn't rush or panic. She approached the most anxious guests first and explained the situation in a soft but steady voice. Then she gently guided them to more comfortable seats and coordinated with housekeeping to arrange temporary rooms for those who had just come from long flights. A manager later said that it was her calm gaze and the respect she showed every single guest that settled the entire lobby. She was like the one holding the rhythm for that whole morning, he recalled. A similar story unfolded at a service center in Vietnam. When a long queue of customers grew frustrated because of a technical issue, their Filipino colleague took the initiative to walk down the line, reassuring each person with a sincere apology. She noticed who was in a hurry, who looked worried, and who needed to be served first. One elderly customer later said, "I wasn't satisfied because the problem was fixed quickly. I was satisfied because I was treated like a human being." Filipino professionalism doesn't come from strict procedures or flawless execution. It comes from the heart, from seeing someone's worry and choosing to be the person who softens it. And that is what makes them trusted in every role, in every Southeast Asian country they work in. Coming up next is number 3, a deeply human value that lets people feel the warmth of the Filipino spirit the moment they meet them. Number 3, kindness and a deep sense of family. Sometimes it's the smallest, quietest moments that reveal the true heart of a person. And for many people across Southeast Asia, these are the moments that stay with them when they think of Filipinos. A nurse in a hospital in Japan once shared a story about her Filipino colleague. During long, exhausting shifts, he was always the one who paused to ask elderly patients whether they felt cold, whether they slept well. What moved her wasn't the questions themselves, but the way he gently bent down and pulled a blanket back over an old man's shoulders. He did it as if he were taking care of a family member, she said. In Hong Kong, a middle-aged woman recalled a difficult period when her mother fell ill. The family hired a caregiver, a Filipino woman, to help at home. What she remembered most wasn't the tidy house or the routines handled flawlessly, but the way this caregiver sat with her mother every evening, listening to stories that even the family sometimes didn't have the patience to hear until the end. "My mother smiled more in her final days," she said, "and I know it was because of her." Filipino compassion doesn't come from big gestures. It shows itself in how naturally they care for others, with no agenda, no display, and no expectation of praise. They carry the spirit of family with them, no matter which country they're in. And perhaps that's why people across Southeast Asia feel that Filipinos always bring a little light with them. Coming up next is number 2, where the resilient strength of the Filipino people earns the admiration of the entire region. Number 2, their quiet strength. In the Middle East, where summer heat can rise so high that the roads themselves seem to shimmer, people often say that only the truly strong can stay long. But for many Filipinos, that strength doesn't come from muscle or physical endurance. It comes from something deeper, something that keeps them standing through long, lonely days far from home. A technician working at a desert site shared that on his first day, he saw a group of Filipino workers smiling, even as sweat soaked through their shirts and hot winds blew sand across their faces. What surprised him even more was what happened after work. Everyone was exhausted, yet they still asked each other, "Are you okay?" He remembered one Filipino colleague who continued working despite a painful foot injury, just so the team wouldn't fall behind schedule. When he asked why he didn't take a break, the man simply smiled and said, "I'm stronger than I look." In the Philippines, a woman whose husband works in the Middle East said that even though he works night shifts, he always tries to call home right when their daughter gets out of school. Some days his eyes were red from lack of sleep, yet he still smiled and still asked about every little detail of their day. He hides his exhaustion so well that sometimes I forget how hard his life really is, she said. He wants us to feel at peace, even when he isn't. The resilience of Filipinos isn't silent suffering. It's the ability to keep their hearts whole in the face of challenges that could wear anyone down. It's choosing to smile so others can feel at ease. It's choosing strength even on the days they feel weakest. And it's this quiet, gentle resilience that earns Filipinos a special kind of respect, not only in the Middle East, but across Southeast Asia. And now we arrive at number 1, the reason that moves people the most, the reason that makes so many viewers see Filipinos through a completely different light. Number 1, warmth and deep humanity. If we had to choose one thing that makes Filipinos beloved across Southeast Asia, it wouldn't simply be their skills, their friendliness, or even their smile, though all of these matter greatly. What truly makes people feel affection, not just admiration for Filipinos, is the quiet warmth they carry with them. No matter where in the world they go, an airport employee once shared that while waiting for his flight, he noticed a Filipina gently talking with an elderly woman she didn't know. The woman looked nervous. It was her first time flying internationally, so the Filipina patiently explained every step, from checking her ticket to finding her boarding gate. When the employee asked why she helped, she simply said, "She reminds me of my mother, us all. No one should feel scared when help is right here." In Thailand, a local teacher said what she remembered most about her Filipino student wasn't her grades, but the way the girl always looked around during lunch to see if anyone was sitting alone. She didn't want anyone to feel left out. She did it like a reflex, the teacher said. Not to stand out, but because she didn't want anyone to feel lonely. Filipinos see the world in a very special way. They notice when someone is tired and choose to ease that burden. They notice when someone is sad and choose to share that weight. They notice the quiet, empty spaces in someone's heart and choose to sit beside them. This isn't just kindness. It's a heart that knows how to connect, how to lift others up, and how to make people feel that they matter. And maybe that's why, in any Southeast Asian country, when you meet a Filipino, you're not just meeting a person. You're meeting a kind of warmth everyone needs at least once in their life. Now that we've reached all 10 reasons, one truth shines clearly. Filipinos are loved not only for what they do, but for how they make others feel when they're around. Whether in Singapore, Vietnam, Thailand, Japan, Hong Kong, or the Middle East, they leave the same unmistakable impression. A gentle warmth that helps others breathe a little easier. If you're Filipino, be proud. What you bring into the world isn't just skill or hard work. It's the heart of a people who know how to connect, how to uplift, and how to spread hope wherever they go. Thank you for watching until the end. If you'd love to discover more beautiful stories about the Philippines and Southeast Asia, feel free to like the video, subscribe to the channel, or share it with someone you think might smile while watching. See you in the next journey, where we continue exploring the many ways the Filipino spirit shines.